Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
On this episode of Audiobook Club, the smell of death.
As the woman drew level with him, Langdon realized he had stopped walking, paralyzed by his own confusion. Snapping out of his stupor, he turned and called to the woman, trying to get her attention. "Excuse me," he blurted. "Miss?" She never broke stride, as if unable to hear him. "Hello," Langdon shouted, standing still. But the woman simply drifted past like an apparition, a blind spirit drawn across the bridge by some unseen force. Langdon turned to run after her, but advanced only 2 steps before halting in his tracks, this time arrested by a putrid smell. Wafting in the apparition's wake was an unmistakable odor. The smell of death.
Hello and welcome to Audiobook Club, the podcast about audiobooks that definitely hasn't discovered that it's a direct descendant of Jesus Christ. Wrong book, sorry. Hey Matt, how you doing?
Frazzled.
Yes, well, so you had a bit of a mission. When we had last week's episode, we realised that Dan Brown's new book, The Secret of Secrets, and it's the first for years, was coming out on the 9th of September. As we record this, it's the 11th of September, and it was only after we said we'd do this mission that you discovered it was 22 hours and 50 minutes long. You have spent precisely half of the time in 2 days listening to this book. How did it go?
Yes. It's a lot. It's a lot. Have you ever read a Dan Brown book?
No. Obviously, I've seen the Da Vinci Code. That was very good.
You saw the film?
Yeah, I saw the movie.
Yeah. I think the Da Vinci Code was the book where in about 2005 or so, you know that bit where I said that, I just stopped reading for a couple of years because it was too tiring. I think the Da Vinci Code may have been the book that pushed me over the edge. I remember the first time I read The Hobbit, J.R.R.R. Tolkien, when I was 12 years old. It was the first time in my life I realised I didn't have to finish a book.
Fair play, you read The Hobbit.
Basically, I was on chapter 132, and then they came across another mountain range, and I went, I don't have to do this. That is the opposite.
Where are they now? Wales?
Yeah. That is the opposite of my experience over the last 36 hours dealing with this, basically.
Well, there are many people who have been obviously downloading this book since Tuesday, as we record on Thursday. By the way, dear listener, we are reviewing, if you hadn't already discovered, The Secret of Secrets, the brand new book in the Robert Langdon series from Dan Brown. It's narrated by Paul Michael. It is, as I mentioned, 22 hours and 50 minutes long, out of Penguin Audio. And, funnily enough, there are already reviews and ratings on Audible in 2 days. There are 4 reviews. I could read them all.
Come on, at least give me a chance. So you know that thing where we ask people when they come on here, particularly if it's a marketing person from big Audiobook, one of the big major publishing companies, we test their mettle by asking them several audiobook related questions that only a proper audiobookophile could answer. And the first one of those questions is generally, what do you do while you're listening to an audiobook? So I, since yesterday morning, about 7 a.m, have had my headphones in, my little Beats Flex ones. So if I take them off, I don't lose them. I've got a little wire on mine that hang around my neck like an old lady's pair of
spectacles. Like
Larry Grayson. So in order that I don't get lonely or go mad, I had 6 music on in the background as well. So, and then I did some laundry. And then I played Angry Birds until it stopped letting me play it before I had to spend money. Then I folded the laundry. Then I went shopping. And then I played Forza Horizon 5 until I got a Lamborghini. And then I went and played in the Tube Strike, and it ended up standing under a flyover at Staples Corner in the drizzle. All of these things I did while listening to this audiobook. And
Wow.
if you can divert yourself to... I'm just going to turn my camera on. If you have a look at that thingy. Yeah, and then I decided it was probably quite a good time to start rearranging my possessions. And that's the result.
Wow! It just looks like that's the biggest box of, what is it, CDs in there?
Yeah, there's CDs.
Wow.
But basically all of my possessions.
Wow!
I've kind of torn the flat apart.
You have. That's carnage. That is carnage in there. I also, I mean, I couldn't even make it out. I mean, I don't know. Either the sun's beating through, or you need to wipe your camera lens, mate, because it's a little bit blurry. But I can get the
You get
gist
the
of,
general.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice sofa, by the way. Nice red.
It's a very nice sofa, actually. Got an
Yeah.
instant Albans.
We'll Insta that.
Yeah, so thank you for that. So I basically ripped apart my own life in the course of listening to this book. The thing I remember about the Da Vinci Code, and I was slightly dreading going into this, is it turns out so often with these books that are that popular, the people can't actually write. Famously, 50 Shades of Grey was just about unreadable. I remember giving up after about 3 pages into Harry Potter. I just found the language too dense. And this one, it just lurches from pillar to post.
Right. Well, there's the preview. We ought to row back to the 3-step process, mate. I don't want to stop your flow, but it's important to stick to format, isn't it?
Why am I feeling so confined? Mike, what have you had to do for the last 36 hours?
You clearly haven't been able to leave a normal life
No!
in the cause
And
of
now I've
this
got to do what
audiobook.
you say. All right, carry on. What's your 3-step process, mate?
Well, the 3-step process, if you haven't been a regular listener, is we talk about the author, then the text of the book, as you have been starting to allude to, and then the audiobook production. Does it bring anything to the party? Does it add anything over the top of the print version? So let's start that flow again. Quickly touch on the author, then we'll get into the rest of your ordeal, it sounds like, over the last 36 hours.
Dan Brown is the author of 8 number-one best-selling novels, including the aforementioned Da Vinci Code, which was translated into 56 languages and sold 250 million copies worldwide. Last week, funnily enough, just to put that into perspective, we were doing Adam Kay's book, and he sold 3 million copies of This Is Going to Hurt, as opposed to 250 million copies, and 37 languages. And I was thinking at the time, like, okay, so he sold 1 million in English, 500,000 in French, 500,000 in German, and the returns get smaller and smaller. What did he spend? 3 in Swahili, by the time you get to the end of the list. But I guess Dan Brown probably did okay and will be fine.
It's everywhere, that book. It was everywhere, wasn't it? It was the book to have, wasn't it? It was, back in the day.
Major motion picture franchise, starring Tom Hanks. And it turns out that Dan Brown was the son of a mathematics teacher and a church organist, which explains the mix in his head between spirituality and science.
GCSE maths. Oh, God, the worst. I followed a similar path. I did GCSE maths, and I was in the local church choir.
Well, don't bother writing a book about it, please. I'm begging you.
Don't tempt me. I'm going to make a book. Yes.
So, look, he's done really well. It's been 8 years since the last book in this series, and I'm sure he's all right for cash, unless he's gone on some sort of wild bender and needed to write this one. But he's very successful, and that's all I've got to say about the author.
Okay. Well, should we talk about the book itself then?
Yes.
You're in mid-flow. I did stop your flow. Apologies for that.
No, not at all.
You do the blurb as is statutory, and then we're away.
It's not statutory. It's the most special part of this program, the zenith, the
Stop
peak.
talking about my special part.
The peak of what we do. The only reason that
we've got 30 listeners.
No, we're doing all right for listeners, actually, and they're widely spread across English-speaking countries around the world, and they all just tune in to hear this bit, the golden moment in our podcast.
Wireless, yes.
The only reason I turn up, actually, is to hear Mr. Steve Phillips read the blurb from the back of the book.
Let's get into it then. Robert Langdon is back in the long-awaited new Race Against Time thriller from the global best-selling author of The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. Accompanying celebrated academic Catherine Solomon to a lecture she's been invited to give in Prague, Robert Langdon... Hang on.
Do you see what I mean? Do you see it?
Again.
No. This is precisely my point. There is something intangible about it where the story, the yarn is great, but just the technical writing is just not quite there. It's a bit weird. There's even one bit in the book where he has a character who is a linguistic pedant who tells someone else off for saying who when they meant whom, and in the next sentence talks about stadiums. Stadia to you, pal.
We had that. You and I were touched by that particular stick back in the day, weren't we? It's not going northbound, it's heading north, or you are northbound. Remember those days?
Yes, but I am a pedant. I got very cross. There is a pub chain in London that had on its menu across multiple pubs that happened to be in the middle class areas where I go that said "Scampi of cod." No, up with this I shall not put.
Good name for a metal band, that. I like that.
But
there was also fish and chips, wasn't there, with the apostrophe S?
Yeah. It's a similar type of thing, but the scampi is crayfish, isn't it? It's a freshwater fish. What they were thinking of was a goujon. And I must have had a word because they seem to have changed it across all of the pubs. Head office have had a word.
Well, that's all from Nigel Slater's recipes from the sea for this week. I'll get this out of the way. I will get this out of the way. I'll try and it was a sight read too far. Clearly, Robert Langdon is back in the new long-awaited thriller again. Yeah.
Okay. That's part of it. Yeah. So part of the point of this book that I was dreading with the Da Vinci, so having read the Da Vinci Code, is it lurches from one thing into another. It's really grating gear changes. So what he used to do was, he'd solve riddles and follow clues to find religious artifacts. In this one, because that wasn't complicated enough already, they've added in neuroscience.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So they what they've done is they've got some absolute gobbledygook, cobswobble spiritual nonsense.
Cobswobble.
What's the word?
What is he doing to us this week? I did find, because I did start listening to the book, and I do find it very interesting about the brain and what happens to the brain and all the rest of it. So I am actually genuinely intrigued as to this story. Shall I just get this out of the way and we can?
No, we're not doing it. We haven't got time. I've spent enough of my life on this book already. Matt,
would you like to tell us what the book's about?
I would like to tell you about the 7 stages of reading a Dan Brown book. And my first stage was anger. So he was staying in the Four Seasons in Prague. The book is set in Prague. He's very impressed. He's got the best room in the hotel, and they have given him a pair of monogrammed slippers with his own initials on them. Then the first thing that made me really scream out loud, he's staying in the Four Seasons in Prague, and then every morning he gets up at 6 o'clock to go for a swim. He jogs 3 kilometers to get to the swimming pool. The hotel staff say to him, "Are you going for your swim? Do you want me to call you a taxi?" "No, I'm going to jog to the swimming pool, and then I'm going to do my swimming, and then I come back. If I'm not back within an hour," and I'm going, "Hold on, how long does it take to jog 3 kilometres?" Probably about 20 minutes. So you'll do that there and back. And then I Googled it, and the Four Seasons Hotel in Prague has a swimming pool.
Oh.
And at that point, the rage begins. And then you go on to the bit where you don't mind it. My friends Phil and Beck live in Hounslow, which is right underneath the flight path for Heathrow Airport, and they say to me that some days you really notice it as the windows rattle, and then other days people come around and go, "That's a bit loud," and they haven't noticed it for a week. So there's that other stage. I don't know if it's denial or, just letting it wash over you. And then there's the bit, unfortunately, where it asks the most fundamental questions and explains scientific theories quite clearly. And the most fundamental question, according to this book, is what happens when we die? What happens to our conscience? So he ponders this question. He's a professor. His girlfriend's a professor too, of something different. And then they escape from a baddie with a gun through a hall of mirrors, and then jumping onto a funicular railway.
Sounds like a fun fair.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a hall of mirrors. It's not the man with the golden gun, mate. This was classy. It was not Clacton Pier. It was like some very sacred labyrinth in Prague somewhere. So this thing, I don't know. There's everything in this book. You got to write this week's bit that you say at the beginning. As I was on the bus on the way to go and grab this birthday present I had to get, my plan was to go Audiobook Club, the podcast that has 3 functioning thumbs and knows how to use them. Obviously, after your ailments from last week.
I appreciate the continuity there. Nice callback.
Well, you know what? In this book, turns out 16 and a half hours in, there's a severed thumb. So we've now got 4.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that.
And then, as I said, I was playing a little bit of computer gaming. And then we get to the chapter where computer gaming, while taking hallucinogenic substances, can alter your mind beyond control. There are many topics covered. I also know what brand of swimming goggles he wears, because as he gets into his Speedos and puts on his validator goggles, I can't remember what they were, but it's just these weird things that it's loads of things in a big old soup, and they don't seem to go together.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, it's a long story, isn't it? And did you get to the bottom of what happens to our brain when we die at the end?
Hold on a sec. Let me find my phone. Let me see. Let me see what kind of sacrifice I've made for this. Right. Right. I have done. So I've got 4 hours and 31 minutes left.
Oh, well done, dude. It was a valiant effort.
So I haven't got there yet. And you know what? I am going to finish it.
Yeah.
And I would recommend it, but I would only recommend it if you don't have to do it in a set fixed bit of time.
Yeah.
Right. I need to have a little rest now. Okay. So the next part of our 3-step process is the audiobook. You know as much as I do, even if you only went 3 chapters in. What do you think of the narrator?
Yeah, he was okay. This narrator is Paul Michael. Any of his stuff before.
Yeah, it's like perfect 90s commercial local radio DJ name where you've got to have two first names.
Yeah.
Like
the top 10 at 10 with Paul Michael.
And Neil Williams. I think there was a Neil Williams. There's also a Nigel Williams. I don't think they were even related.
That's right, yes. It's a Duran Duran winning weekend with Paul Michael.
See, you haven't spent 18 hours of this book, and you're slightly squirrely too.
Yes, I do feel that way. Yeah, I thought he was quite good actually. I thought he had sort of the necessary timbre. I liked his timbre.
Nice.
And nothing really stood out for me, to be honest.
No, but again,
between you and I, I've started listening to next week's book.
Have you now? I don't really. It's lucky we don't live close together because otherwise we'd come around your house and thump you. But
I wouldn't bother with this one. Actually, I started on next week's one. What are you doing?
I don't think you even listened to me talking on this, but as we've discussed, I think that's part of the point. Isn't the thing where the bits where you in our professions have been radio producers? The point is not to be noticed. I think this guy is competent at everything he does. There's a bit, when on things like Murder, She Wrote or Columbo in the 1980s, they would go to London, but they wouldn't go to London. And I think somebody has two Jaguars and a black taxi somewhere in Los Angeles, and then they build a set that is a traditional London pub where all of the people are wearing ties and having a good old knees up. There was a little bit of that American. His accents made me feel like I was in an episode of Murder, She Wrote. But that's fine. Look, he's possibly the classiest thing about this whole enterprise, in that, again, we've got nothing really to criticise him for. The man's clearly got stamina. And again, he doesn't get in the way of the text. His female impersonations are not patronising. And he deals with just some incredibly nuts gear changes from deep explanations and debates on scientific and philosophical matters to getting on a monorail in an underground baddie base. And I kid you not. So again, and the bits where I got bored were not because I was bored of the tone of the narrator. It was because, there were some lovely bits where Dan Brown really explained some ideas quite well that he made complicated things easy to understand. So the nub of it is, and this is from about the three things I'm going to put together here from about 12 hours apart in this book. If you wanted to put the amount of data that is in a human brain onto DVDs, if you stacked the DVDs, they would go up as far as the International Space Station. Which is, again, I don't know whether to believe that, but I understand the concept within the context of this book. Yeah. The next part of that is if you brought Mozart around to dinner and you had a little portable speaker on the table, Mozart would think that the music coming out of it is because there is an orchestra behind the wall. Or indeed, there was a tiny orchestra inside the thing. And he said, what he wouldn't think is that there are radio waves because it's not in his context. I'm going, if it's a portable speaker on a table, it's going to be Bluetooth, isn't it? Yeah. And then, the logical extension of that is that perhaps what happens when we die? Well, perhaps our bodies, if you think about the amazing stuff that our brains can do, perhaps our bodies are only the radio receivers. And then he debunks all of that as well afterwards. But yeah, I don't know. So in terms of the audiobook narrator, again, it's because we didn't notice it too much. I think that means he's good. But he certainly didn't stand in front of the book, but also there was no discernible personality. It's not like listening to something read by Will Wheaton or somebody who or Andy Serkis. I think there's an argument actually in last week when we did the Adam Kay book, a particularly nasty case. I think we both agreed that the narrator got in the way of the book.
Well, this is it, isn't it? And I think you're right, Paul Michael. From the small amount I heard, he was doing exactly that. It was very sort of, I guess, workmanlike. Is that like an Uber driver where your driver's name is their first name and their middle name, and they just don't bother putting a surname on? Does this bloke, is that what this bloke probably doesn't deserve a surname? Deserve a surname. Of course, everyone deserves a surname if they want one. By the way, a question for you. How do you think this would have sounded with Jeff Harding, who I know is one of your favourites?
Again, I would rather Jeff Harding saved up his energy and delivered the Jack Reacher, which is in the run-up to Christmas, coming in November. Of course, this being released in September is, as we've previously discussed, this is all about being Christmas number one. And the way you get to be Christmas number one, as you know, if you've worked in, like me, in an R-Price or a Virgin Megastore, I've done both. Yeah, what you want to do is you want to get to number one the week before Christmas, so that when somebody's auntie comes in and goes, "Oh, I've got to buy something for my child. What's number one?" At the moment, at that point, then you become the Christmas number one, and 80% of business is done in the last week. Although I'm pretty sure that may apply to physical books, but I doubt it applies to audiobooks.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Only reason I bring up Jeff Harding because he actually did do the audiobook of the Da Vinci Code.
Oh, did he? Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, well, as I say, it's the book that made me give up reading, so well done him.
The interesting thing with this book is, when I saw the Da Vinci, obviously I'd just seen the movie, but I came away from it naively believing everything was true.
Yeah, that's the bit.
Well done story.
Yeah, that's but that's it. He's quite a good teacher. He explains things quite well between car chases and laser space fights. But there are just look, and I suppose. Who am I to judge what is good writing and bad writing? But he certainly. He's had a go at writing in lots of different textures. There's, this is partly what you were asking for last week, which is a why done it. We meet again. We meet the baddie quite early on, and he wears a big black cloak and has his head caked in a clay mask. And then it says at one point. That the most striking thing about it was the 3 Hebrew symbols on his forehead. No, he's wearing a clay mask, a big black cloak. There's a bit. So for the second week in a row, I'm quite into dedications at the beginning of the book, and this one is devoted to Dan Brown's editor, who is his best friend. And part of the story of this book is actually Penguin Random House's office in New York is subject to a cyber attack. And the editor of the lead character's book is bashed on the head, is bagged and tagged, put in a van and abducted. And I was just thinking, well, if that's what you think of your best friend... it's just a weird. Perhaps
you banging my head soon.
Perhaps my thing here I'm saying is perhaps your editor shouldn't be your best friend. There are lots of bits here where you just go, that's a bit shoddy, or a bit vapid, or a bit rubbish or not accurate or the opposite of what you've just said or a repetition of something you've just said 5 chapters ago. I don't think it needs to be 22 hours, but maybe that's just because I'm emerging from 18 of the 22 hours and know that I still have 4.5 hours to go till I get to a conclusion.
Yeah, or you know how we always rate the narrator. Can I just briefly ask you to rate the book? So if I was a fly-by-night Dan Brown reader, so I dip in and dip out. Obviously, I've read the Da Vinci Code, might have read Angels and Demons. Would you recommend I read this one? How did you find it?
Do you know, I do want to find out what happens at the end, but
okay, cool.
I think, you know that bit where you and I sort of slightly, I think actually people coming on the show do it. We just asked the question. Do you think listening to an audiobook counts as reading? And I'm just really glad I didn't have to read this and that I was able to do all those other things that I did, like tearing my house apart and playing Angry Birds, because I was able to do it passively. If I'd had to hold a book in my hands and wasn't able to do anything else, I think I'd resent it. I think these are literally airport books, aren't they? In the fact that, you know, you expect that. I'm not sure how this works, but actually I should think they'll sell more copies in June or July next year, just before people go on holiday and they dip into it for 2 hours a day, sitting by the pool on a 2-week holiday. And I think that's. I mean, look, I'm complaining about just how shoddy this thing is and how perhaps your editor shouldn't be your best friend. It could be tightened up a bit, but I still kind of grudgingly enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good news.
And I do want to find out what happened, but don't spoil my bit.
Was there anything with the narrator? We're saying I think narration rather than performance with this one, aren't we?
I'm exhausted.
Fair enough.
No, look, he does some voices. There's different tone in what he does. He's not flat and boring.
Oh, can I ask about the Slavic voices, by the way?
Yes, you can.
Two of the 4 reviews have been mentioning the Slavic accents.
Well,
thereof.
I did that again. That was something that I was correcting, given the fact that I speak Russian or used to. A bit shabby. But again, not something that I would complain about in front of other people because it makes you look like a bit of an arsehole. So thanks for bringing that up, Steve.
No, 2 people have done pretty much the same thing in print on the reviews here.
No, I haven't really. I don't mind it. It's fine. It's that would be like, you know, saying that watching the Hunt for Red October and going, I didn't know he was Scottish. You know, it was.
Bless you, Sean.
Yeah, if this were a truly literary book where the significance of language was more than what people say to waiters and the signs on doors, then perhaps. But I'm not going to complain about it here.
No, fair play. Okie dokie. Shall we wrap it there then for the secret of secrets?
Well, you've literally got to go and see A Man About a Dog, haven't you?
I certainly have. Yeah, not to push us out the door or anything, but I think people maybe have just want to. Well, moreover, I think people want you to have a bit of a lie down.
I need to lie down.
Marathon. You need a lie down. How? So for next week, I've done this. So we've got a gap next week, which we work because it's obviously the big autumn season when everyone releases their books in September to get Christmas #1. And today's released, literally released today. It's book 9 in the Slough House series. So, do you ever watch Slow Horses?
I was about to say, that's Slow Horses, isn't it?
Slow Horses. So, Clowntown is the latest book in the series by Mick Herron. It's narrated by Sean Barrett. I've listened to the first sort of 2 or 3 minutes. His voice is something else, by the way. I don't know if you heard Sean Barrett.
I haven't.
12 hours and 6 minutes. It was out today, as we record, by the way, not published, so 11th September, out of Baskerville, the publisher. So, there we go. We've got the latest in the Slough House series, and
it was that great bit where it must have been about 2023 when Succession was on and Slow Horses was on, and the 2 programs were defined by the way the leading characters said "fuck off." And
only Gary Oldman can do it properly.
No. Brian Cox's. Was
Brian.
Fuck off, like that. Whereas Gary Oldman says fuck off, like that.
Proper East End. That's it. It's the only way to say it, really. Isn't it?
I think both are equally valid, and we must all find our own ways of saying "fuck off."
I think we were almost trying to slip into sort of the Peter Cook Dudley Moore sketch where they're talking about the swearing in Pinter plays, but doing it in the style of sort of West End snooty critics. I'll send you the link, by the way.
Yeah.
Niche audience. So anyway,
well, it wouldn't be an episode of Audiobook Club without you getting in your little time machine and going back to when things were funny.
When things were better.
Yeah.
When things were legend. So yes, Clown Town is our book for next week. If you're listening to that one, if you're planning to listen to it, it's the latest book in Mick Herron's Slough House series, book 9, in fact, but by Mick Herron, narrated by Sean Barrett.
Have you read the other ones
between now and next week to have a listen to it?
Have you read the other ones?
No, this is my first one.
Isn't there a bit where we should start on book 1? Or one of us should do book 1.
Yeah,
that's our normal rule. You've brought it to the table, so you have to do book 9, and I will do book 1.
Have you seen Slow Horses?
Yes, loved it.
I've not seen it. So you should do book 9.
Oh man, it opens on.
I don't know anything about it.
The first scene's on Rupel Street. Do you know where Rupel Street is?
I know Rupel Street. Oh, yeah. I used to walk along there because no one could afford a place to live there.
I think the first episode is actually called Rupel Street, I think. And it features, so it's the only, for those who don't know it, it's round the back of Waterloo Station, a tiny little area, about 2 streets of houses that weren't hit by bombs in the Second World War. So they're the only remaining sort of workers' cottages around there, and someone on one of those streets is a huge fan of 1970s Citroens, and there are normally about 3 of them in mixed repair up and down the street. It's one of those magical little London secrets that you may stumble upon, but you'd probably be taken there by a Londoner. So I think as an opening statement for Slow Horses, they had me at Rupel Street.
Right. Okay. Well, that's it for me. Rupel Street, I used to walk along there when I went to work. So, yeah. And it's always used for period dramas and Remembrance of the Daleks and Doctor Who. Right. Okay, then. So that's where it is. Clown Town is next week. Have a chat about it. We'll read out what you say if you're listening to that one for next week's show. And we are at Blue Sky and Instagram at Audiobook Show. Hashtag is Audiobook Club, of course, in the title. And we'll see you next week for a bit of spy thriller action. Matt, thank you for dedicating your last 48 hours and turning your flat upside down for us.
You owe me, Phillips. I'm coming around with my sponsorship form to collect my money.
You betcha. You betcha. £2.20 there.
I would rather sit in a bar full of baked beans next time.
Yep, that can be arranged whilst reviewing an audiobook. Right, till next week.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.